So first and the foremost thing is that in between, if any of you have any kind of query or any questions, please feel free to write in the Q&A, and I'll be trying to share my tips on the remaining 2 months from now, and how you guys can prepare from now, what you can do to make it better, your preparation to become better. I've already taken a session similarly few months back when the date was of November. But now again decided because there is a delay and there is a certain change in the timeline, and you guys can add on to your preparation journey, or to the students who will be starting now, you guys can start afresh and understand that how is it possible now to score and get a rank even if you start now. So that is very important thing. So why I'm taking a session? Because there is obviously that many of you would be giving the PG exams. There will be a confusion about how to prepare for INISS and then how to prepare for NEET SS, because that is what is going to be the timeline of now. 1 month later, you'll have the INISS and then you'll have the NEET SS. So common problems at that stage, what I got questions from you guys is that one was that how to start. That is one of the question for from all the PGs who are just finished with their exams or are about to finish their exams. Another thing was about the students who are preparing from long, about how to balance revision, how to complete the topics. Is it wise to start something new or just revise what you have read till now? And about the MCQ practice. And also to add on certain things like those who are preparing and giving mock exams regularly, about the stagnancy in this course or the burnout and the time crunch for the students who feel that 2 months is less time. So I'll be covering all of these things in brief. So this is very important. First and foremost, regarding this 60 days is the mindset. You need to give your 200 to 300%. That is for sure. And understand that 2 months or 60 days is not less time to prepare and crack NEET SS. So keep that in mind. That is something very important. And many of the students, what they do is they definitely put a long term plan for their own. But what you need to do is that, along with a proper schedule and a plan for the 60 days, what you need to do is divide that into three. I have told this multiple times. Divide that 60 days into 20, 20, 20. Divide the 20 again into 7 days, 7 days, 7 days. Divide that 7 days into 2 2 2 days. And again divide that 2 days into three parts, and give yourself daily targets. That is very important. Don't think about what you will be revising or finishing by the end of 1 month. Keep that in mind, that you need to be sure that whatever you're reading today, you should be able to recall even 1 month later. So your goal should be for that day, for that session of morning, afternoon, or evening. That is what your goal should be. And what you need to do is hard work and revision. No matter if you are starting now or you have started earlier, whatever you have read, your goal should be to be able to revise that. That is the foremost important goal for all of you at this stage. So remember that. Now, source selection. Now, this is something which I would like to tell to all the freshers who will be starting now, that daily with our MCQ bank, our MCQ content should be enough for you guys. Just allow me 1 second. I'll just put my iPad for. Yeah. So starting with the first thing is regarding the source selection. So what I want to highlight in this is that for all of you who will be starting now, especially for the fresh MS pass outs or who have finished their exams or who are about to finish their exams, your go-to source should be Bailey 28th edition. That should form the core base of your preparation, along with the extra shorts, endocrine or GIT from Savastan. Whatever you have read for your MS, make sure that that should form the core resource. But daily is must. Add on to our MCQ bank with the surgical scholar test, with the mock exams. That will give you a thorough coverage of all three books, whatever is required for NEET SS. So don't try to switch over now to reading Savastan or let's say shorts. Don't do that. Stick to what you've read till now and try to make sure that you do multiple revisions of that. Now, coming to the other students who have been preparing, who have read Bailey, read Sabiston, read some portion of shorts, also not the time to switch over to anything new. Just one small tip for those who are reading from along is that you may add on certain new topics, but that are very, very, very critical and important, which you have missed out on. Do that. Don't try to read now thinking that you have 2 months. Let's finish everything from let's say Sabiston or shorts. Don't do that. Stick to whatever you have read. Make sure you revise that and you solve all the MCQs from our question bank. That should form the base of your preparation. Supplement with this should be the Savastan tables and the updates, which all we will also be covering in our app through the videos, the notes, and some extra MCQs will be adding from the updates. So that should be supplement. Now, this is something which I want to highlight, but this does not mean that majority of the questions are only asked from these topics, but these are the topics which you cannot miss to avoid or miss to not revise. So what are these topics? Starting with trauma, breast, endocrine, hernias, HPB, GI, GIT almost completely, GUT. This form the base because these are the frequently asked questions which you have seen in the last 3 years. And also you cannot afford to miss out on plastic, pediatric, neuro, onco, CTVS. These are the topics which, if you have time, you should do it and make sure that at least pediatric, plastic surgery, vascular, these are the topics which we tend to also read for our MS. You read that. Neuro and CT surgery, these are the topics which, if you have time, then you should read. If you do not have time, just go through the notes which we have given, all the images for the flaps, all the name procedures of cardiac surgery. Read that, just revise from that, or just listen to the ethos series that will give you a major coverage of that topics. But this must know topics are the topics which you cannot afford to not revise, and good to know topics are the topics which you need to go through, if not from the textbook, just from the question bank. That is enough because that will give you a coverage of that. And what is important is that focus on the summary tables, flowcharts, and the scenarios, because nowadays more of often the questions are framed related to the scenarios, related to the next best step, best management, what will you do next. These are the things which will be scenario based. So make sure that your mind and thinking of the during the MCQ practice is in that direction. Now, this is a tentative thing which I would like to give you, the 3-phase 60-day plan, which I told earlier. The first phase should be coverage, that is, cover what you have not read, and that should be a very selective, priority based reading. Consolidate what you've already read, that should be a phase one in the initial 20 days. Next 20 days, try to revise, start with the revision of focus revision, that is, incorporating the book, the notes, the MCQs, and the bookmark or the mistake journal. Try to use that and do focus revision, and simultaneously, conservatively do the MCQ practice as well. And last 2 weeks should be only either giving 1 or 2 mock exams in the last 15 days. I recommend that stop mock exam before 10 days of the exam. In the last 10 days, just keep on revision, revision, revision. Revision will form the key to your success and to scoring more marks. So important thing is not complete coverage of all the topics, but revising multiple topics in the final few days. That will what will give you an edge and will give you easy marks. So if you target and prioritize 2 revisions in last 2 months is possible. And for the freshers, 1 revision in the last 15 days before the exam is must. Now, the phase one, as I said, that finish the pending topics. What you, as I told, the must know topics, finish those. Those are important. Good to know. If you have time, then read. Otherwise, just go through the MCQs and the mock exam explanation, what we have covered. That will cover everything. And this is a rough tentative daily schedule, which I would like to give all of you. That is, start with divide into, again, I commonly practice dividing the day into 3 parts. 3 hours for theory, reading, or revision. 2 hours MCQs, but don't do the topics what you're reading in the day. Do it of another topic. That way you'll be revising actively. Give time to mock exam review. If you have given a mock exam, let's say on Sunday, give time to that either on Sunday or Monday or Tuesday maximum. Don't stretch out the mock exam review more than 1 or 2 days after the exam, because you'll be able to revise during that time also. And keep 1 hour during the end of the day for revising what you have read throughout the day or something which you have read 5 days back. Keep 1 hour daily for a small recap, either before you sleep or just after you waking up. Do that. And merge the revision with the MCQs. Now, why I want to tell you is that your brain should be wired every day. Let's say if the exam is going to be in the afternoon, rewire your brain in such a way that every day in the afternoon you are either solving MCQs or you're giving mock exams, and merge the revision in that so that you are able to revise more and more. Many students, what they do is that they will read today, solve the MCQs tonight, and then revise, let's say after 1 month after the finishing of course. Don't do that. Read, let's say, breast today. After 5 days, solve the MCQs from the question arsenal. After 5 days or 3 days, if we don't have much time, after 3 days, solve the surgical scholar test. After that, just revise again. So that way, 1, 3, 5, 7, 10, divide like that and revise multiple times, small chunks. You will revise more and more. Trust me, try to follow that. So this is phase one. Coming to the phase two, that is after your 20-day reading, your revisions should start. It should be either your first and second revisions or second and third, depending on the timeline of your preparation. And that should be through the either the second edition Powerhouse notes or your own notes or your textbook, wherever you're reading from. And you should have either a mistakes journal or the bookmark questions in the MCQ bank. Use that for revision. Focus specifically on the tables, diagram, flowcharts. Do not miss out on them. And try to give a mock every 5 to 7 days. That is for sure. And just don't practice the mock exam and not analyze. The analysis will form the base of your preparation and becoming better version day by day. So focus on the analysis of the mock exams. That is very important. And even if you don't know the topic or the thing what we have asked, just note that down and make sure that you revise that minimum 3 to 4 times so that it gets ingrained. And revise all of the wrong, incorrect, confusing, difficult MCQs which you have faced. Don't just try to revise everything. Revise only those which you feel that either you're forgetting, either you are making lots of mistakes, either it is very tough question or something which you need to mug up. Make sure that you are revising that. Don't focus on revision of the simple topics which you are definitely going to answer. Don't do that. Revise selectively, because if you reinforce again and again, the brain will be wired into answering difficult questions easily. Coming to the last 20 days, it should be simulation and polish. Now, what do I mean by this? That try to simulate real exam condition, that is in the afternoon or the morning, the time period of your exam paper. Make sure you're sitting at one place and you're either solving or revising through the MCQs, or you are making sure that you're only solving MCQs in that time. You need to simulate the exam conditions and make sure that the mock exams, whenever you're practicing, you can maximum give one mock exam just 10 days or 12 days before the exam. That is what I'll recommend, not more than that. Don't keep on solving mock exams. Give one, and the rest of the time in the afternoon period, make sure that you are just solving the tough questions or the bookmark questions so that you can easily be wired in that time frame. And important thing is that in the last 20 days, don't try to, some students have the tendency to study late till night and then they'll sleep. And in the afternoon also some students may be sleeping. So make sure that you wire your routine which matches that of the exam day, because trust me that it helps you in the efficiency. So make sure that you're conditioning yourself for starting with 20 days before your exam. Now, some of you asked regarding the management of time with multiple things, with some working, some first timers. So, how should you do it? So, as I told earlier, revision with reading of new topics should be integrating. You should do it together. Don't keep that I'll revise now, read later, or read new topics now, revise later. Don't do that. Divide, as I said, morning read new or revise in the morning, in the afternoon read the pending topics, integrated with the MCQ practice. Try to do a daily MCQs 100 to 120 up to 150 if you can. If you cannot, it's okay. Try to do as much as possible in a day. Fix and analyze them properly. Don't just solve. And so your goal should be to revise with reading of the new topics simultaneously in one day. Along with that, as I said, MCQ practice is important. Try to solve every day. And when you are analyzing those MCQs, that is the most important part of the preparation. So either the MCQ bank or when you are reviewing the mock exams, make sure that you're spending time on that so that you understand that what is your weakness, what is your strength. This is very important to understand that which topics you're lacking in, which topics, even if you feel that you have read nicely, but you're unable to solve the questions. So the analysis is very important. For those working MS, post MS, or the SRs, make sure that if you want to give 1 to 1.5 hour in between. Try to read whatever time you get and keep the weekends for mock exams whenever you get more time. That is how you can do it. And I think 6 to 8 hours in the day is enough or possible for everybody to put in. So that is important. And for the first timers or the post MS or those who will be just writing their exams now and then they'll be preparing for that, prioritize daily with the MCQ bank. Don't try to read each and every detail of Sapiston, and that is very important. And many of you asked about the Sabiston 22nd edition. I would like to tell you that 10 to 20% updates are there. Rest of that is same, which we'll be covering in the updates portion also. So you can just go through the updates. Rest, concentrate on whatever Sabiston you have read from 21st edition and solve that, because nowhere in India anybody will be having a fully updated question bank from the 22nd edition, because not many changes are there. That will happen gradually. And even the NEET tests will be more of, I feel that it will be from 21st edition. So don't worry about the 22nd edition. That is my personal advice. Now, coming to the smart revision methods, many of you would be just concentrating on reading, but now when you're solving the MCQs, as I said, make a mistakes journal, write down the confusing, the wrong ones, the difficult ones, the tough ones into that journal, and make sure that you read that notes for the recall. And in between, keep reading through that. Color code your topics, something which are very weak, something which are very moderate, and something which are strong. Whenever you're writing down, either you can do it or just write down topic wise and just keep on revising them. And as I said, follow a 137 15-day repetition cycle. That is, if you have read today, do revision of that after 3 days, then after 1 week, and then after 15 days. Now if we have 2 months time, you can do that up to last 15 days, so that in the last 15 days you have revised 2 3 times and then you're coming to the final revision. And follow 20 40 60. That is, first 20 days, as I said, for coverage, then revision, and last 10 days for dedicated serious revision. Now, as I said, that MCQ solving skills I've already mentioned, log all the mistakes. What is important is aiming off the timing. Try to read and solve a question in 45 seconds, because you are going to get 1 minute for one question. Try to solve that in 45 seconds so that the 15 seconds you have is for revision. So that at the end, when you have solved all the 50 questions in one section, you're approximately having around, you're going to have 10 15 minutes at the end for revision of those topic of those questions, so that you do not miss out on the top of the questions if they are long ones. And intentionally we have kept the mock exam questions longer so that you can develop that habit of solving the questions faster. So try to time yourself and make sure that you are not spending time more on a particular question. Otherwise, in the exam, under pressure, you'll definitely miss out. So try to time your practice of MCQs. And whenever you're reviewing them, don't just try to hasten it. Try to review properly, read the question line, what they're trying to ask, and accordingly answer. Don't skip out on the details and just see that one you are able to pinpoint an option which you are thinking that it is correct, or but it may just be that you have just read that thing and you are seeing that line. That's why you are pointing towards that answer, and you can make mistakes on that. So try to read the question, what they're asking, all four options, and then answer. And my personal advice is that the first answer which comes to your mind is majority times correct. So try to mark that. Don't change it after the revision. Grant test strategy: if you are starting now, make sure that you give the mock exams assess the first 1 to 4 for baseline assessment and your speed. Fifth mock exam onwards, try to simulate more and more and interpret the scores and try to become better. Your goal should be to score between 110 to 120 correct. If you are in the range of less than 90, now is the time to buck up and come up to this. This is the safe score to get a decent rank, and your attempt should be nearly 144 to 148 depending on the exam paper, how is it tough or moderate. But your goal should be minimum of 100, maximum 120 correct to get a very good rank. For all the working candidates and the SRs, your 5 to 6 hour study hours, even if you are getting, should be enough. But if you are consistent and you're giving your 200%, prioritize revision and MCQs. As I said earlier, no matter you're getting 12 hours, 14 hours in the day, or you're just getting 5, 6 hours, the basic remains the same. What I said earlier, in between of your breaks, make sure you're revising. And weekend mock exams are mandatory for all. And if you can give a structured routine daily, fixed time, then it is okay to not leave a job. But if I would advise you that if you do not have financial crunch, please leave the job and study for 2 months sincerely, because NEET SS is very achievable, even if with 2 months study period. For all the first time aspirants or the so now coming to the first timers or the post PGs or the aspirants who have either finished their exams or about to finish their exams, important is to revise what you have read, solve the MCQs. That is the important thing, because many of the times what we do is that we tend to read new things because we have not read for our MS exams. But that is not the case. What you need to do is revise what you have read and just solve the MCQs, and whatever new things you are getting to know, add them to the journal, mistake journal, and try to revise that in the last 15 to 20 days. And don't go into the rare topics now. That is very, very, very important. And also for all of you, mock exams every 5 to 7 days is must from now, because that gives your brain the practice to think and training yourself for that 2.5 hours, because under pressure, those 2.5 hours are very, very, very important. And focus on revision and the question patterns, try to understand, because we are very new to the MCQ practice when we are just out of the MS, because our brain is wired into writing theory papers or preparing for the practicals. So MCQ exam is slightly different, not that hard, but yes, you need to train your brain to give that exam. So your goal should be to form a strong foundation of the topics which you have already read, because clinical scenario oriented questions, we there is not going to be any difference between you and any students who are preparing from long. So make sure that whatever you're reading, your clinical foundation is very strong. So now, in general, we have discussed about all the things what you need to do. So now, to stay focused and consistent, you need to give yourself target, not worry about what others are doing, what others are scoring. You need to track your progress wisely and weekly, and take short breaks in between if you are getting tired. Don't take long breaks in between. It's okay to take a break in between. For, let's say, after dinner, you are taking a break after a week of study. Try to be fresh and be active. Don't think that if you take a break for 2 hours, you're going to miss out on. Rather, taking that break will give you next day extra edge, because you'll be fresh. And you need to be disciplined to and consistent for the preparation, because consistency always beats the intensity. You need to be consistent 200, 300% every day. To avoid burnout and fatigue, what you can do is you can rotate topics. Don't try to read one system at a time. Read 2 3 systems in a day. It will give you a difference, because some topics you will know or you'll be stronger. Let's example, you're combining GIT with cardiovascular. Try to do that, because GIT we are strong, will be finishing faster. Cardiovascular will take some more time, so you'll be balancing them out. Keep light exercise, because that enhances dopamine, that enhances memory. So I tend to practice that minimum 20 to 30 minutes in the day. I used to practice when I was preparing. And don't compare with anyone who is scoring what. You need to become better version of yourself. That is the key, that you need to become better. If you're scoring 91 mock exams, next your target should be 95, next 100, next 105. And that way you'll reach 120. You'll never know that. So don't compare with anyone. Focus on your preparation. one mock exam low score will not decide what is going to happen in NEET SS. So don't worry about that. Rather, practice and focus on what you have done, what is your mistake, what are your weaknesses, and try to become better. And for mental reset, you can do multiple things, including music or meditation. Now, with the university exams who are just ongoing right now, you can prepare your theory preparation with the NEET SS topics, which are coming in sync. Practice that with the MCQs in between. So try to read the topic which are important for our theory and as well as NEET SS properly, and try to incorporate MCQ practice if you can. And if you cannot, you can just revise those theory again and again, because that is going to help you for a NEET tests as well. And immediately after the exam, shift to MCQ practice immediately, because if you can plan your overlap in such a way that you are continuing with your preparation, it is going to be easy for you to crack. So don't worry about that. Now, having said that, different strategies, you can utilize a rapid revision program, surgical ethos, which is going on with the videos and the notes. And you can incorporate the second edition notes as well, selectively prioritizing the topics and covering those which you have not read or we are unable to understand, and add the mock exam mistakes into the same notes, because you can annotate in our app as well. So you can incorporate that into a common notes and you can revise from that, and make sure that whatever you're doing, you have a final revision notes which you can read in the last 15 days. So you cannot control the results, but you can obviously control and effectively give your effort. Don't focus on the rank, what you're going to get. Focus on the process, what you are going through right now. Be disciplined, be consistent, and remember why and what you need to achieve, and stay calm. You will be able to achieve that. So now let's come to your questions. I've almost covered whatever I could, but if you have any more questions, please you can mention in the Q&A. As I said, for GTs, your goal should be to score 100 to 120. That should be your goal. Don't worry, even if you're not close right now, you have 2 months time to come up to this. So don't worry about that. ENT ortho biostats, I do have said earlier also that ENT and ortho not required, optal not required, biostats if you have time you can do, otherwise you can avoid that, not commonly asked in NEET SS. Strategy for even if you have not scored well last year, it does not matter. You can start fresh and you can understand that you have a fresh slate to score on. So don't worry, even if you have scored 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 last year, you can start fresh and reach up to the top rank. Whatever you have done, for example, if you have solved all the MCQs, you're getting 100 to 110 in GTs, make sure that you just revise the notes or MCQs, whatever you've solved. Don't try and start reading the books now. That is not advisable. Expected time, usually every time surgical group exam is in the afternoon, 2 to 5, 2:30 to 5 or 2 to 5:30. If you're starting now, we are going to be having 17 mock exam and 2 national mock. So that way we will be having 19 mock exams. If you can, if somebody has solved, if you can solve all of them, very good. If you cannot, minimum of 10 to 15, you can solve up to 10 days before the exam. So make sure that you solve them. ENT ortho topics, no need to cover. If your score is stagnant, understand the mistakes where you're making. Don't see if you're scoring 110. See why you're making those mistakes in the 40 and try to work on those weakness. You will be easily coming up to 120, and understand that why you're making the mistake. Is it because you are not understanding the topic or question, or you are missing out on time, or you are changing the options, or you are making silly mistakes by reading fast and answering fast? Understand that, you will be able to score more. See, even if you have read once, and for revision, start with the easiest topic, what you feel you are strong in, start with revision of that topic, because once you're done, you'll be having that momentum and move on to the next topics. You have to start somewhere and start with multiple topics, and do give yourself short targets that I need to finish this topic in this much hours today. If you finish it, give yourself a positive motivation that yes, you have done that. Then you'll be able to move forward to subsequent revisions. INISS preparation depends on if you have been reading till now or you're starting fresh. If you're starting fresh, I would advise to concentrate on one exam. If you have been reading, then till INISS, you can give 70-30. That is 70 to INISS subject, 30 to general surgery topics. And after INISS, you show to completely NEET SS. But if you have not given any read of the specialty subjects, try to concentrate on one exam. That is my personal recommendation. If you are on duty for revision, you can either, if you have the book in the tech in your iPad or mobile, you can just go through the summary tables or the flow charts. If you do not have that or you are feeling uncomfortable, you can just read and scroll through the MCQs from the MCQ bank. As I said, if your score is stagnant in the mock exams up to 100 to 105, your goal should be to see where you're making those mistakes in the 40 to 45, work on them, work on the weakness, see why you're making the mistakes. Are you changing the answers? Are you making silly mistakes by not reading the question properly? Are you getting confused between the two topics? If you're getting confused between the two topics, means that you're not revising well. So you need to revise more. So that way you need to analyze the mistakes easily. If you correct either of the mistake, you'll be able to score more. Only Bailey can give you what score. Nobody can tell you that. Depends on the paper. You need to be strong in your foundation. Even by reading Bailey, you can score more. Even by reading Bailey's Savaston, you can score less. Depends on your clinical acumen, your application, and the question paper. Ideal time, you should analyze and revise the mock exams in the next, like either same day or next day if you are spending more time. But spend time properly and analyze your mistakes in the mock exam. That is how you'll become better and better. It depends. For the strategizing, the number of questions to attempt, your target should be to attempt anywhere between 140 to 150. That should be your base. 140 is minimum, 150 is maximum. And there is no fixed attempt questions to avoid unnecessary negative marks. But I, sorry on that. So I'll try to take a session for the how to give mock exam, how to give the final exam, what is the correct attempt number, and how you can avoid unnecessary negative mark. But if you want to understand right now, your goal should be 140 to 150 attempts. You should understand that if you are even 50 to 60% sure about the question, you should attempt it. If you are not sure and you are only knowing one option, other three are unknown, then don't attempt that question. If you are going below 140, then try to attempt as much as possible. If you are trying or going near all the questions attempt, you can try to avoid certain questions which you are unsure or totally not aware about. Don't try and answer all of them because you'll be adding on the negative marking unnecessarily. Bayesian only Savasson charts, flow charts is enough if you don't have time. So if you have time, Bailey Savasson is must. If you're not, then you can just go through the MCQ Bank and the Surgical Scholar and the mock exam. You should be able to cover everything. As I said, targeted correct should be between 100 to 120 to reach the top rank. Rapid revision video will be helpful to revise on duty where because you can go through the videos in 1.5x speed and understand and read almost all the points important. That is a good idea if you can utilize the surgical ethos well. All the trial studies usually less commonly asked in NEET SS, but if you can try to remember it, don't try to give more and more time just to mug up certain things. Just understand the important landmark trials are important. Not all trials are important. Custom modules in the MCQ bank is important and to be utilized if you want to give a practice of the weak topic specifically. You can make a custom modules from that and you can just solve that and from that bookmark and solve that. And now we also have a feature wherein you can make a test from the bookmark or make a custom module from the bookmark questions and try to solve them. That is how you can become more and more while practicing the bookmark question because that will be forming the chunk of the incorrect or the tough questions. Utilize them. See, time for revision, when you're doing the first revision, it will take time, but don't worry about that. Make sure that even if you're spending more time right now, you are revising properly in such a way that when you come to the second revision, you are going to finish it faster. And don't try to read again the same way you read the first time. That is not revision. Your revision should be the important points, the highlighted points, the important things what you need to remember. Don't think that everything is important. If you have read properly, you will understand that what is important and what is not important, and that is how you need to plan your revision. Even if it takes time, don't worry. Try to revise properly, because quality is important over quantity. So don't think about how much time you're spending. Think about how well you are revising. Theory exam is in 1 month, and if you have not read till now, so if you have the theory exam coming up in 1 month, give your 70% time to the theory reading, because that will be a revision. 30% to MCQ solving, because that will also be a revision. So you are doing a revision while simultaneously preparing for NEET SS. Bailey is must for everybody. I'll say that Bailey is must for everybody. MCQs per day, 50 to 150 question is must to be solved every day. So accordingly, depending on your speed, you can give your time. One size does not fit all. So I cannot say a specific time, but 50 to 150 questions should be your target. Bailey with the mock exams topic is enough. If you have your PG exams, you're unable to read from Sabiston or shorts, that should be enough. Sabiston, Bailey, all tables, flowcharts are important. The rapid revision program and the mock exams are very critical. So make sure that you do that for sure. You need to combine topic wise MCQs with mock exams. You cannot do either of them. Make sure that you're solving MCQs every day, and every 5 to 7 days you're giving mock exams. Second edition Powerhouse will be very important, because the notes we have incorporated all three books with the NEET SS highlights. We have given 4 to 5 one-liners per subtopic. So that will become very critical if you can read through that, specifically the topics like neuro, plastic, CTVS. That would be very critical if you can read properly, because we have worked hard to incorporate all three books in short, and also give the last minute revision boxes, the one liner MCQ. So if you can incorporate that, that would be the best thing. TNM staging, you need to mug up even if you're unable to remember, because that are important to be remembered. TNM, specifically GIT, is very important because that is commonly asked. Breast is asked, thyroid is asked, and GUT, only kidney, is asked more often. So you need to remember this four. Yeah, this video I'll be uploading on YouTube. Don't worry about that. Theory exams, NEET SS preparation, as I said, 70% theory preparation, 30% NEET SS preparation. If you have 15 days to 1 month from now for your theory exams, after that, switch over completely to NEET SS, because this 70% time for your theory will also act as a revision for your NEET SS. So try to do that 70-30, then switch over to 50-50 or 40-60 for your theory and MCQ practice. There is no fixed time for a topic. Depending on your speed, you can give, but don't worry about the time. Focus on the quality of your reading. If you have read, as I said, if you have read for your specialty subject for INSS, you can give 1 month time till the exam for that, then switch over to NEET SS. If you have not read anywhere for your specialty subject, you should focus on NEET SS, because that is more achievable than INSS. Ethos series will be trying to complete by mid-November. We are almost 70% things are completed. 30% is remaining. We'll be completing by November mid. Yes, if you read the Powerhouse notes, including the NEET SS pearls, the last minute revision boxes, the 4 to 5 one-liners from the notes, you should be able to cover almost everything from all three books. Any other questions from your end or queries, please be free to mention in the Q&A. I think I've covered majority of your questions and queries. GIT ethos will be covering in November. Sabiston new edition, don't try to read that. Try to concentrate and revise from Sabiston old edition. If you have read that, don't switch over right now to the new textbook. I will not advise that. Just you can go through the updates in the app, what will be uploading soon. So you can just go through the updates. That would be enough. It is depending on your speed. You need to divide the Bailey. 1400 pages, I cannot give you that 1400 by 60, 20, 30 pages per day. That is not how it works. You need to revise as much as possible every day and try to finish it with 15 days in the last for a re-revision. As I said that revision of the topic, you are giving less time. If you are thinking that you are unable to get time for that topic, give more time. Don't worry about the time. Try to concentrate on completing the topic revision properly so that when you come again for the second revision, it takes less time. That is how revision works. And also you need to filter out the things you are revising, because many times we try to read that same way what we read first time, you are trying to read that again for revision. So you are taking more time, but try to filter out and then revise and try to complete that topic. Don't just think that I've given 3 hours for this topic, I have not completed it. It does not work that way. Even if it takes you 4 or 6 hours, try to revise that properly. Quality is important. If you have read from the notes, you should not switch over to the textbook. Bailey is base. If you have read that, if not Sapiston, you can just go to the notes. That should be enough. Pediatric surgery will be covered subsequently with the GIT portion in ethos. No, don't waste your time reading Sapiston if you have just read Bailey for your university exams and practicals. After practicals, just switch over to the Bailey revision with the MCQ revision. Don't try and read anything new, specifically Sapiston, because it is very vast. As I said already, that the mock exams and the ethos will be very important. With the MCQ content, I'll say that around 10, 12,000 MCQs we have. If you cover all of them, you will cover all three books for sure. Anesthesia, 1 or 2 MCQs may be asked, so we'll be covering in the ethos, yes. Safe, safe score in decathlon, as I said, between 100 to 120, because we have last 2 years we have a strike rate that the score of the decathlon resembles those in the NEET SS. So if you're able to get 100 to 120, for sure you'll get the similar thing in NEET SS as well. Bailey is must, yes. Sorry, but I'll recommend that Bailey reading is must no matter what you have read before. To revise and analyze the mock exams, if you're solving mock exam today, by the end of the day, either completely analyze your mistakes, the weaknesses. Don't try and analyze by giving 3, 4 days time. 1 or 2 days time is maximum is enough. Transplantation is important, specifically the basics, liver transplant. These are the high topics, but other topics also 1 or 2 questions here and there they can ask. So I would not say that missing out or skipping on certain topics. So I don't see any more queries. If you have any more queries, please reach out to me on this number. You can reach out to me with your queries on your number. Thank you.